I want you to be following this clearly and attentively. So this is biology. It gets to carry 80 marks. As you can see, it carries how many marks? 80 marks there. So these are questions that I gave you to answer. I just want to revise with you. So if your phone is in portrait, I want you to turn it to be in landscape so that you are able to follow me clearly and you are able to see each and every word that is here. So you are going to be marking your answers like that even as we get to move, and you tell me the marks that you are going to get. It was out of what? 44. So section A gets to carry 44 marks. Then we get to have other questions to make it 80 gets to come from we get to talk of 36 marks that is coming from section what? Section B. First question that is here, just by looking at this question, this is a reminder to tell you that you need to study through what? Cells. So it's saying that figure 1 shows cell division in animal cell. So it is talking about what? Cell division in animal cell. We've got a zygote, then we've got changes to this one, and this one changes to that. We've got this one changes to this one changes to 2. A changes to a muscle cell. Then we also have B that changes to 2 new cells. So these are the what? These are the questions. How can we answer these ones? So you need to get and understand that here the question is state the characteristic of living organisms being demonstrated in figure 1. They are telling us to do what? State the characteristic of living organisms. Before we go further, you understand that biology has got 7 characteristics of living organisms. So from all those 7, we've got movement, we've got feeding, we've got reproduction, we've got growth, we've got sensitivity, we've got excretion, we've got all those things. I guess you know them. So from all those one, which living characteristic is being demonstrated here? Which one is supposed to be your answer? Here, have you seen, we are talking about what? Growth, a zygote. Have you seen a zygote here? So they are growing. This one changes to that. These new cells, so they are growing. So we can put here as what? The answer can be growth. We can say that, we can put that as an answer. Then we proceed to the next one. Explain what has happened to cell A. So what has happened to cell A? They want us to explain what has happened to cell A. So you need to understand that cell A, have you seen, where is cell A? Cell A is there. What has happened? We've got a zygote, then we've got cell A that has gone to a muscle cell. So what has happened there? Cell A has now tend to go into a specialized what? Press or position. So meaning that the cell has divided and become specialized cell. Have you seen? It has now become a what? A specialized cell. So what has happened to cell A is that it has what? It has, so you say it has what? It has divided. So it has divided and become what? And become, it has divided and become a what? A specialized cell, whereby it is going to just concentrate on a specific function. A specialized what? A specialized cell. So this is the answer that you need to put there. That is what we get to call as knowing how things get to happen. So have you seen, it has now become a what? A specialized cell. Here, this question is telling us, explain how the zygote in figure 1 can result into the formation of an organism through what? Cell division. How it can result into formation of an organism where a zygote now becomes a baby. How do these processes get to happen? So you need to understand that the first thing that gets to be there, so cells get to divide to become specialized. So what gets to happen is that cells do what? Here, since I'm teaching you, and you need to know how to be putting or writing them in that good English of yours. But what you need to understand here is that what is happening is that cells are changing to what? These cells are changing to form what? Tissues. So a cell changes and forms a tissue. A tissue forms an organ. An organ gets to form what we get to call a system. From a system, we now get to have an organism now. The one that we are looking for, we now get to have an organism. So these are processes that are happening. So what answer is supposed to be here? I'm just giving you a format. This is a general format. So you say cells divide and become specialized. So specialized cells get to form tissues, where tissues are going to form organs, and organs put together make up a system, which results now into the formation of an organism. So you write it in your own words, but you need to be indicating the first one: cell, tissue, tissue, organ, organ, system. From a system, we get to form an organism. So these are things that get to happen. So you just leave it like that. This is a topic that I've told you. Study cells. So immediately after this particular session, study cells. Like I've said, I won't be able to mark this particular work, but I want you to be revising with me and marking yourself. We now move on to this particular question that is here. Describe two life processes of living organisms and state the role of enzymes in each what? In the two processes. The role of enzymes in the two processes. So what is the question talking about? State two life processes of living organisms. We are told to state two life processes of living organisms. So we only have two what? Two life processes. There is what we get to call as what? Anabolism. So there is what is known as anabolism. So what is the role of enzymes in this anabolism? Is where we get to have complex what? The enzymes get to make sure that a complex molecules, so complex molecules are made. Complex molecules are made. So complex molecules are made from what? Are made, so made from what we get to call simple what? Simple molecules. From simple molecules, they are made from simple molecules. Example that we can put there, we can say photosynthesis. So best example there, you can say photosynthesis. Another life process, we can talk of what? Catabolism. So catabolism here, what the enzyme gets to do here is that the enzymes get to make sure that simple what? Simple molecules, they make sure that simple molecules are made. So simple molecules are what? Are made. Are made from where? They are made from a complex molecules. So they get to be made from a complex what? Complex molecules. What are these things? A good example that we can talk here is respiration. We can consider what? Respiration. Here we were considering photosynthesis. So these are two things that you need to understand. These were the answers. So these were the answers. We are done with question number 1, which was carrying 9 marks. So these are the answers, and I've told you that immediately after this, the first topic that you need to look at, you look at what? Cells. Me, I'm telling you what to study. I don't want tomorrow you say, oh, sir, this question that we revised through, nothing came. Sir, what and what? I've taught you everything. Unless those of you that are just joining now, you're joining for revisions. But those of you that have been with me, I've taught cells. And make sure that you go through cells. A question can come on anything. They can give you those any three types, they can say, give adaptations. A question can come in all angles. So you just need to make sure that you are able to answer a question that can come in any what, in any angle. You are able to answer a question that can come in any what, any angle. So you just need to make sure that you are able to do that. We proceed now. We proceed and move to the next question. So this was the next question. This is talking about what? This is now talking about figure 2 shows the transverse section of a leaf. So you need to study the what? You need to study a leaf. And I know by now you know all these things. You need to study a leaf. You know that X there, the X that is there, this is called the what? That is called the upper epidermis. So this is called the upper what? Upper epidermis. What about the Y? This part that is here. So you discover that if you are given a cell that is like this, I told you that, okay, that one is called a parasite cell. The one that is just found on top. Have you seen to my cell? You can say, this looks like a plant cell. This is what we get to call a parasite. So I'll say it is a parasite what? Mesophil, like this. Mesophil, like this. Then we've got this Q that is here. Have you seen those to my round things that are there? That is what we get to call a phloem. So that is a what? That is a phloem. So just needs to understand things like that. So I guess you're able to see how these things are moving and how these things are going. So just needs to get them just like this. Let us now proceed. We've got ara there, all these things. These that ara there. This one. This is what is known as the guard cell. So here this has got something to do with the what? A guard cell. So this is how you get to label it. So make sure you go through a what? A transverse section of a leaf. Here now where we've reached, you should not even joke around your book. You need to make sure afternoon, morning, evening, you are studying. By the end of the day, just 2 weeks, you are going to relax and all these things are going to be a story of the past. So do everything that you can. Your eyes will be led like this. You're just studying and because you know what you want to achieve. Let us now go to the questions. Identify tissues X, Y, Q. I've labeled them. So X, Y, Q, these things are labeled there. So I've labeled them. You're able to put answers there. Then we move to this one that is saying tissues X and Y were tested for starch. So X and Y, the upper epidermis and the parasite mesophil were tested for starch. Which of the two tissues would show the presence of a higher concentration of starch? Have you seen who show the higher concentration of starch? Why? The parasite there, those like a green part there. So it is what? It is Y. You just put Y. Then they're telling you to say, give an explanation for your answer. What can be an explanation there? You explain them to say that it contains what? It contains a green pigment that is called what? Chloroplast. So what you need to do there, you say that it does what? It contains. So I'm going to say that it contains a what? It contains a green pigment. So you say it contains a what? It contains a green pigment that is called what? Chloroplast. So I'll say chloroplast. Have you seen a chloroplast? I will say like this. So you discover that here, this is where we get to have some parts that get to make ready for what? Photosynthesis. This is where photosynthesis take place from. So I'll say this is where what? Photosynthesis take place from. So take place from. So you discover that it is because of what? Because it contains more chlorophyll. This part that you are able to call Y, which is a parasite, it contains what? It contains, so you say it contains what? It contains more chlorophyll. So I say it contains more what? It contains more chlorophyll. It contains more chloroplast. So a green pigment is called chlorophyll. So that is a green pigment. Chlorophyll, that is a green pigment. So chloroplast, storage of chlorophyll, which is a green pigment that makes sure that photosynthesis is able to take place. So the reason why we've given the answer why that will show a higher concentration of starch, because that one contains a lot of what? Chloroplast. This is a topic on its own. Leaf, and you need to make sure that you also study what we get to call a food test. So you need to study food test. You might not know how questions will come in your exams. Then they're telling you to say, we've got this particular question, this question that is saying, name the cell labeled R. I've given you the name there. That is a guard cell. I've labeled it, so that is a what? A guard cell. And then which features does R have in common with tissues X and Y that enables it to perform its function? There is what we get to call a presence of what? You say presence of the what? Presence of the vacuum. We get to have the presence of the vacuum like this. So there is a presence of the what? Presence of the vacuum. That is the answer here. That is a guard cell. So you say guard a cell. Just needs to put it like that. We now move on to question number 3. Question number 3 is here. I guess you are able to see it. This is question number 3. Question number 3 represents bones of a forelimb of a mammal. So bones, all this, the good part is that all these things I've taught. So you need to make sure that you are able to study what? You are able to study through all these things. So now the first question, which letters corresponds to the following structures? This particular structure. So we've got a radius. Where do we get to find the radius? The radius is this H that is here. So you say that is what? That is radius. So I'll just label them here like this. That is radius. We've got a una. Like una, where do we get to find the una? That is what? A K there. So I put a K there. Then we also have humerus. Humerus there. That is what? I. The one. That is what? Humerus. You label like this. You are done. So this can come in all angles. The key topic here is called bones. This is a topic that you need to study. So you need to make sure that you are able to study through this particular what? This particular topic. Bones. Study through, understand, and make sure you get to prepare yourself for your exams. We now move on to this question that is, identify the type of joint found at J. You need to study the types of what? Types of joints. So this is under bones. So we are still studying the topic called bones. Study through, understand, please. This is what we get to call an hinge. So it is called an hinge what? Hinge joint. Give a reason, because an hinge joint allows movement only in one plane. So this one only does what? It allows. So you need to understand that it allows what? Allows movement. So you say allows movement only in what? Only in one what? One plane. So this is it. It allows movement only in one what? One plane. You are done with that. We now go to this question. Name two disorders of the joint at J. The hinge what? The hinge joint. So what you get to find, the disorders that gets to be found there, we can talk of dislocation. So there is what? Dislocation. We can also talk about what? We can also talk about arthritis. So all these are disorders that get to be found at the hinge joint. make sure you study through this topic. I'm begging, please. Study through these things that we are doing here. So we are moving and moving. As you are studying, you're also preparing yourself for that paper one where we get to find multiple choice questions. I'll revise through that tomorrow. That is the one that I'll be touching on. And I'll also be giving you things that you need to study. So I will reduce on exercises, and I want you to now be studying a lot. Study, understand these things. So you need to make sure that you are doing a lot of studies. We now go to this question. Why? Explain why a bone is considered to be a living tissue. They just want you to explain why a bone is considered to be a living tissue. What is the answer there? You just tell them to say, because it contains what? A bone gets to contain blood vessels, and it gets to contain bone cells. And you know what cells are. A cell, this is a what? This is a basic unit of a living thing. So it is just like that. You are done with that particular answer. So it contains blood vessels that gets to contain bones, and you know that a bone cells, where you know that a cell is a basic unit of a living what? Organisms. You are done with that. We now go to this particular diagram. This is now falling under what you get to call transport in what? Transport in plants. So you study a topic called the transport in plants. This is called what? Transport in what? Transport in plants. Study through it. Understand. So this whole thing here. So figure 4 shows a schematic diagram indicating the movement of water in a plant from the roots to the leaves. Have you seen? This is something that is so interesting. Something that is so interesting. It's a wonderful topic, and I want you to follow it clearly and attentively. The same way I'm explaining it, this is how you also need to understand. So that one, they're telling us to say, identify the part labeled P. This part that is labeled P. What is the name of this particular part? This is called a root air cell. So it is called a what? A root air cell. So you say it is a root what? Air cell. These, they get to do what? They get to absorb water or nutrients. Have you seen? This is a root air cell. Then identify substance O. They want you to identify substance O. Have you seen substance O that is there? It is now going into the atmosphere. So substance O is what is known as water vapor. So that is what? That is water vapor. We now go to the next question. So I'm giving you things that you need to study. By the end of the day, no one should say, me, I failed biology because of this. No. I'm giving you things that you need to study. What name is given to the space through which substances or enters out of the leaf? So they want you to do what? To give a name. The name is what is called what? Stoma. It is called a stoma. Have you seen? It is singular. We get to call it a stoma. Name given to a space, that particular space. If there are a lot, we say, okay, stomata. But stoma, singular. Just like that. I guess you are able to follow it. So this is how things are supposed to go. And this is how you are supposed to understand these particular things so well. Then we proceed with the same diagram. They're telling us to say the same diagram that we have. So they're saying, state the terms used to refer to the processes responsible for the movement of water at points L and M. So at points what? L and M. Where are the points? L, we've got a point L here. So at L here, this particular point L there, this is called what? Osmosis. I guess you know what osmosis is. Osmosis, the movement of water level potential from a region of what? Higher to lower. So we get to talk of what? Water level potential. Then what is happening at this particular part called M. That is what we get to call as what? Transpiration pool. It is known as what? Transpiration what? Transpiration pool. Leading you to another topic, but this transpiration gets to fall under what we get to call transport in plants, which I believe after this session you are going to study through. So at M, that is transpiration pool. At L, that is osmosis. I've answered this particular question. Then they are telling me to say, give 2 reasons why it is beneficial for a plant to lose water at all. Why is it beneficial for a plant to lose water? So I'll tell you the answers, then you write them. 1 is to provide water for what? Photosynthesis. So the reason why plants get to lose water, 1, provide water for what? Photosynthesis. Number 2, it has some what? Cooling effects on the what? On the plant. So to have some cooling effects on the plant. These are the 2 answers that you need to put there. They are saying, apart from the xylem vessel. So apart from the what? Xylem vessel. Xylem vessel is here. So apart from the xylem vessel, which is in the stem there, they are telling, name another vessel found on the stem that is used for transport. Xylem goes with what? Phloem. So it was so simple. This one was so simple. Like that, you are done. This is how it is supposed to be, just like that. Yes, you are able to understand everything that I'm explaining here. I'm just revising. I gave you these things. We go to this question. Define each of the following. What is a gene? What is a gene? You just need to understand that a gene is a basic unit. So this is a what you say is a basic unit of inheritance. So basic unit of what? Inheritance. So I say it is a basic unit of inheritance. Then what is a genotype? Genotype, we are just talking about the genetic makeup of an organism. This is a what? Genetic makeup. Genetic makeup of an organism. So that is just a genetic makeup of an organism. You are done. As simple as that. Can we fail to do this? No, we can't fail. So this question, it is genetics. This one you just need to understand. You can't go into an exam without knowing this topic called genetics. Then you are joking. You need to make sure that even as you enter an exam, you know this particular topic called genetics. Because always it comes under question 5. A question under genetics, it is going to come. So if there are major topics that you need to study, you should not forget genetics. Saying, in a family of rats, the recessive allele D, have you seen recessive allele D, cause the stunted growth. So if it occurs in what? Have you seen? If it occurs in what? Homozygous animals. Homozygous animals, have you seen homozygous animals? Use genetic diagram to predict the offspring produced if 2 what? Heterozygous rats were mated. So we are talking about what? We are talking about heterozygous. So they are different. So they get to be what? They get to be different. What are we going to do here for us to start a genetic diagram? The first thing we need to start with, we start with what? I will say parental what? Parental phenotype. So parental phenotype. So I say parental phenotype. On parental phenotype, you know that we are talking about a what? We are talking about a normal male. So a normal male which was being crossed with a what? A normal female. So a normal what? Normal female. So normal female like this. So this, for you to understand this better, at least you need to go through this particular topic of genetics. So I'll see what I can do if I may push in this particular session. Then you say parental what? genotype. The next one is parental what? Genotype. So normal, two heterozygous rats. So then you are told that in a family of rats, the recessive allele D, have you seen recessive allele small letter D? So for one which is dominant, capital D. So we are talking about two heterozygous rats. Two heterozygous rats. These two are different. So what we need to do here, I need to put what? Heterozygous. They are different, but they are containing to my things that are recessive. So you do this. Have you seen? Even here, it is normal, but it is recessive. Have you seen? They are recessive. They are containing these to my what? These to my things in them. From here, what we do, we separate to form what? To form gametes. So I will say what are being formed here are what? Are gametes. So D here, small d. Capital D, small d, like this. From here, what is going to happen is fertilization, where this one goes with that first one. So we've got DD. This one comes here. So here and goes there. So this is D like this. We go to this one. This one comes here, goes up, face up. So we start with the D like this. Then this one goes kulas kudia, then goes there. This is what we D. Have you seen? The same way this one is. This is how you are supposed to do it. So you are able to agree with me that, okay, the way this one is, this is what we get to call first generation genotype. So this one here, this is what I call first generation what? Offspring genotype. So offspring what? Offspring genotype. So offspring genotype. So I say offspring what? Offspring genotype. From here now, the next thing that I'm going to do now, I now say first generation what? Offspring phenotype. The outward appearance of phenotype here. Phenotype. So I say phenotype. So what am I able to see? This one is normal. This one is normal. Have you seen? This one is also normal. But this one that is here, this is the one that is what? Stunted. This one that is here, so it is normal. Here you say normal. This is normal. Even this one is normal. Even that one is normal. This is the one that is different. So what is the ratio here? So you now understand that the ratio here is just what? What is the ratio? 1 to what? 1 to 3. So the question was telling us to say, use a genetic diagram to predict the offspring produced if two heterozygous rats were matched or mated. So here it is 1 to what? 1 to 3. So you put something like that, then you just say that the probability of the offspring is 1 to 3, where 1 is going to be different. This is normal, then this one is going to be stunted like that. So this is it, and this is what you need to get. These are certain things that you are supposed to understand. So I guess you are following me closely and attentively. Then we also had the last question. I can't see the last question. I guess it was not here. It was moved. The last question is here. Have you seen? This is the last question. Explain one named cause of genetic variation. One major cause of genetic variation is what we get to call genetic factors, such as mutation, where we get to talk of a change in the structure of a gene or the number of chromosomes. So the named cause of genetic variation is mutation. So that is the answer there, mutation. And this is where we are going to end from. I guess you've helped me by answering these questions, like marking yourself and going through all these things. So reverse through, and I guess you've learned one or two things.